Welcome to the AI for Career Success video overview by Curt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition. In this session, we'll be examining the critical cybersecurity risks of integrating artificial intelligence into our essential infrastructure. Our analysis is based on the work of Robert M. Lee of Dragos, stemming from his discussions at the 2026 World Economic Forum in Davos.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by looking at the intersection of AI and operational technology. Then, we'll dive into the pressure for adoption and two critical failure scenarios that can arise. From there, we'll outline 3 actions to take right now. And we'll wrap up by discussing why, despite the risks, a solid defense is absolutely doable. So, let's start with our first section. First things first, we need to define what we're talking about. Operational technology, or OT, refers to the systems that control our physical industrial equipment. And the key thing to understand right now is that these systems are undergoing a really profound and fast-paced evolution.
You know, if you look back over the last 40 years or so, you can see this clear progression. OT has gone from basic mechanical controls to digital systems, then to IP-connected infrastructure, and now to these complex systems of systems, where OT, IT, and the Internet of Things all merge. But this latest step, the integration of AI, well, that's happening at a pace that is far outstripping our ability to manage the risks that come with it, and that's really the core of the problem.
And this quote from Robert M. Lee really drives the point home. He says, "You cannot have an AI or space revolution without energy and infrastructure. You cannot keep your energy and infrastructure for long without OT cybersecurity." It really boils down to this. All of our advanced technology, all our AI ambitions, they're built on a foundation of physical infrastructure. And if that foundation isn't secure, the whole thing is at risk. They're completely codependent.
Okay, so that brings us to our second section, the pressure for adoption. Why is AI being pushed into the control loop so aggressively? And when we say control loop, we're talking about giving AI direct, autonomous control over physical processes. So what are the business drivers behind this?
Well, it's really coming from the top down. You have CEOs, boards, and investors. They're all looking at AI as a way to hit some pretty fundamental business goals. Things like improving productivity, cutting costs, innovating faster, and just flat out surpassing the competition. It's this combination of pressures that's creating this incredible push for rapid adoption. And here's a really insightful observation from Lee's analysis. He says, if the products to be adopted were named anything other than AI, they would not be adopted so aggressively or quickly. Think about that. The label AI itself carries so much hype and pressure that it's causing organizations to bypass their standard due diligence, the kind of rigorous testing and risk management they normally insist on for any new technology in these critical environments. So what happens when you have this kind of rushed deployment? Well, it sets up what Lee identifies as 2 critical failure scenarios. And we need to be clear. These aren't just abstract theoretical risks. They are very real, very tangible dangers that need to be on every leader's radar right now. Let's compare them at a high level. On one hand, you have market reset. This is an external, market-based risk. Basically, you become dependent on AI vendors that could just disappear. On the other hand, you have AI blind spots. This one's internal and technical. The system becomes so complex that when something breaks, you literally can't figure out why. Okay, let's unpack that first risk, market reset. It's inevitable that the current AI market is going to consolidate. There will be winners and there will be losers. So what happens if your entire critical operation is built on an AI platform from a vendor that gets bought out, or worse, just fails? All of a sudden, the systems you rely on, the data they generate, it could all become inaccessible overnight. The potential for operational disruption here is just massive. This really forces some tough but necessary supply chain questions. You have to ask, what kind of warranties or guarantees are we actually getting from our AI vendors? And maybe the most critical question of all, do we have a plan B? How would we continue to run our operations if these AI systems just weren't there tomorrow?
Now for the second risk, AI blind spots. You could argue this one is even more insidious for long-term reliability. As you layer AI into these already complex OT environments, the complexity just grows exponentially. And what happens is, you lose the ability to understand why something went wrong. Your capacity for root cause analysis basically evaporates, leaving you in the dark when an incident occurs.
And losing that ability to do root cause analysis is a huge deal. Think about it. Without it, how do you restore operations correctly? How do you prevent the same failure from happening again? How do you meet your regulatory requirements? You can't. It fundamentally undermines the safety and reliability that are supposed to be the absolute foundation of any industrial operation. All right, so we've laid out the problems. Let's move on to the solutions. Section 4 covers 3 concrete actions you can take right now. This is a framework for adopting AI in a way that is both secure and resilient.
It's a 3-step plan. Step 1 is to establish solid governance. This means applying the same rigorous engineering discipline to AI that you would to any other critical system. Step 2, deploy OT-specific monitoring. You need visibility into these systems to detect threats and enable analysis. And step 3 is crucial, plan for failure. You have to document your dependencies and, just as importantly, maintain your manual or legacy capabilities as a fallback.
The guiding principle behind all of this is actually pretty straightforward. It's this: do not let the competitive or economic pressure to adopt AI override the fundamental engineering discipline that has kept these operations safe and reliable for decades. That has to be the non-negotiable bottom line.
So as we move into our final section, I want to end on an optimistic note, because defense is doable. Yes, these challenges are significant, but they are not insurmountable. The truth is, we have the tools we need to get this right. We just have to seize the opportunity to prepare.
When you look at it, we are actually in a good position to succeed here. We have the talent, we have the technology, and we certainly have the knowledge from decades of industrial security. The missing pieces aren't technical, they're about will and execution. What we need now is more awareness of these risks, a real dialogue about them, and the discipline to execute on the solutions. And this last quote from Lee really sums it all up. The pressure to innovate with AI is real and will only intensify. But the organizations that succeed long-term will be those that prepare beforehand. It's not about stopping innovation. It's about being smart and prepared so that innovation is sustainable.
So, we'll leave you with a final thought to take back to your own organization. Are you truly preparing for the risks of AI, or are you just reacting to the pressure to adopt it? Because how you answer that question could very well determine your resilience in the years to come.
Thank you for watching. This is AI for Career Success, where we teach you AI and help you get smarter than your competition. If you found this analysis helpful, we'd really appreciate your support. Please subscribe to the AI for Career Success channel on YouTube. We also invite you to like this video, comment with your thoughts, and share it to help us reach a wider audience. Thanks again.